graphic nature of this program, listener discretion is advised.
Mr. Trump is an enigma. He is complicated, as am I. He is both good and bad, as do we all. But the bad far outweighs the good. And since taking office, he has become the worst version of himself. He is capable of behaving kindly, but he is not kind. He is capable of committing acts of generosity, but he is not generous. He is capable of being loyal, but he is fundamentally disloyal. Donald Trump is a man who ran for office to make his brand great, not to make our country great. He had no desire or intention to lead this nation, only to market himself and to build his wealth and power. Mr. Trump would often say, this campaign was going to be the greatest infomercial in political history. He never expected to win the primary. He never expected to win the general election. The campaign, for him, was always a marketing opportunity. The sad fact is that I never heard Mr. Trump say anything in private that led me to believe he loved our nation or wanted to make it better. In fact, he did the opposite. When telling me in 2008 or 2009 that he was cutting employees' salaries in half, including mine.
Your podcast will fail.
It's just a coincidence that you were talking about the Jack and Triumph show and I'm here. Thank you so much for having me on your podcast.
Hey man, this is Kevin Smith, guy who makes all those unlistenable podcasts over at smodcast.com, and you're listening to the Two Strangers, One Podcast. This is podcasting.
You're listening to Two Strangers, One Podcast. Subscribe to us on iTunes or on the Stitcher app for Android devices. Please visit twostrangersonepodcast.net. Now, here's Chris Colon and Paul Pasquillo.
Well, hello and welcome to Two Strangers, One Podcast. I'm Chris.
I'm Paul.
And long-term listeners of the show will know when I first started the show, I was very sober. I was actually sober for about 5.5 years.
Keyword, folks.
Was. I decided it's been a long fucking day. I put in a fucking full day at work. My fucking chores are done. My bills are fucking paid. And goddamn it, if I'm going to do a podcast, I'm going to fucking, maybe not stinking drunk, but, you know, while Paul and I are getting ready, I've been, I took a bath earlier, damn it. I'm not stinking drunk. And I just sort of said, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just going to crack open a fucking beer. And it's like, it's a 40 ounce. So like, I'm kind of keeping it real by drinking a 40, but it's a Budweiser 40, which isn't like,
it's keeping it real, guys.
When you see the homeboys hanging out in front of their houses and sitting on the stoops and stuff like that, they're not exactly drinking fucking Budweiser 40s. So, I mean, it's cheaper than a 6-pack. And so while we're getting ready, I'm listening to Pandora. Paul's taking care of other business, and I'm sort of just rocking out here. So welcome to the show, people.
Yeah, he's definitely been rocking out.
Look, I drink and I sing. I mean, what's wrong with that? You know, look, let me take a nice little swig.
Oh my god, this is turned into the Two Strangers, One Drunk podcast.
Hopefully I don't have to get up and take a piss in the middle of the episode. And if not, don't worry, listeners. I'll just edit that out. You don't have to fucking wait for me to come back and take a piss. Paul has to fucking.
Yeah, thanks.
But I do want to say thank you for the people who have been supporting my eBay page. Because of that, I've actually. And the funny thing is, in the eBay page, I'm like, the money goes to support the podcast, which I guess it does technically, because. You know, I could help pay for like my monthly internet bills and so on and so forth. But I could actually afford a trip to New York City. Like Paul and I were discussing right before the episode. You know, I went to New York City for Comic-Con, and that's all fine and good. And you know, going to New York Comic-Con, you know, it's always an event for me, and it's the closest thing I'm gonna get to a fucking vacation. Because you know, I haven't been on an official vacation since like 2004. So. You know, goddamn it, you know, if I could get out of the city and spend a couple days and enjoy myself at Comic-Con, that's all fine and good. But, you know, my mom's birthday is coming up, and she hasn't seen my daughter in well over a year since I haven't had my car. So, you know, thankfully for the wonderful people who have been supporting the eBay page. And, you know, on the eBay, I put like podcast stuff all over the fucking eBay page. So for the people, I don't know if you're new fans or old fans or whatever. Thank you for purchasing the stuff. Keep coming back. And
so So let me say this. So, unbeknownst to Chris, what I'm going to do here, whenever I get rid of this second job, God willing. Seriously, Chris, like, they literally, and this is, people will laugh at this. My boss cannot seem to keep a person at this fucking job. Dude, you've been to my job.
Yeah.
It's the fucking easiest job in the whole fucking world. You get paid minimum wage, and actually, if you work out, you actually get paid fast food worker pay after a while, because he's not gonna pay you fast food worker pay if you're not gonna be a long-term employee. That's just stupid.
Yeah.
So we had what we called a 40-minute mic before. He lasted 40 minutes. Couldn't handle this job and left. That was like a year or two ago.
Yeah, everyone's had those coworkers where they don't make it to the fucking end of the day.
And here's the other one. Like, so this guy went through the hiring process, passed a drug test, started working on Saturday. I wasn't there. I was working my other job. And I was told the story. And they're like, we can't figure out why he left, because he was he was really good. And I said, well, was there anything that he said that it seemed, well, I mean, he made a big deal about, or he didn't make a big deal. He didn't like how they couldn't, there wasn't any breaks. And I went, well, that's the problem. Because see, what happened was he was working for about 5 hours. And then the guy's like, can I go get something to eat? And, the guy's training. So, the other guy that was there was like, yeah, go ahead. I mean, just don't take all day and come back. And he even gave him some money to get some food. Guy never came back.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, never even came back, Chris.
I mean, I could understand, for people, I mean, if you're a smoker, because it's not like it's not like in your job people could go out and smoke. I mean, I guess technically they could, but
no, you can. No, dude, you can definitely
step out in the back and have a cigarette and stuff like that, or
yeah,
but okay, so I mean, I could understand some people, because that's the one thing I hated in my old jobs, when you had people that were smokers and were like, they would go out and what would be what's supposed to be like a 5-minute smoke break, they come back like 15 minutes later. And it's like, oh, if I fucking disappeared for 15 minutes, the fucking, the building collapses down. But, so, I could understand someone that, if they're used to getting that break every couple of hours to go out and have a cigarette, and they're sitting like, oh my God, I can't do anything.
So what the other guy, the guy that was training him, said was, you can just, it's not always busy there. Just, when it's not busy, go out and do what you got to do. If you got to go to the bathroom, you got to go to the bathroom. If you need to go out and smoke, go smoke. It's not a big deal. You know what I mean? Like, don't take all day and don't be gone for like an hour. But if you need to go and do something, go do something.
Yeah.
And he just didn't get that. So.
Yeah. And where that place is, it's like I mean, shit, even if you go to the supermarket, like, you don't have to go to the fast food place. You can literally go to like a supermarket and get something, relatively cheap. Because obviously, I mean, like, you're not going to get any snacks there, because snacks are snacks, and that's not really fucking food. But I mean, you could literally go to the department, the supermarket, and grab something relatively healthy, and not have to, not have to waste your money on fucking, Hostess cream pies or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
But I guess, some people, the fucking reality settles in, like, oh shit, I'm fucking stuck here for the 8 hours. But that's fucked up that he owes the guy, he borrowed money from the guy and didn't.
Well, I mean, it was only like $2.50, but still, it's like.
Still, it's the fucking principle of the thing, man. God, my $2.50, where's my $2? Scumbag, But I guess, some people can't fucking hack it. I mean, the good thing, like with me, like I said, I'd fucking put in a full day worth of work, and, I'm taking care of my bills and stuff like that, but fuck it, I'm gonna have a drink if I want it. And, so it turns out, Paul, the 90s are making a comeback. As I was putting the notes together, I'm like, there's a lot of 90s related stories in this. So the first, and I guess, and I'll get much more into it in the second half of the show, the nerdy news. Captain Marvel came out this past weekend. I went to go see it Thursday. Went to go see it in the IMAX, which unfortunately isn't the theater, isn't where you work. But saw it in IMAX. I bought tickets. I don't want to say last minute, but seats were. I was like dead center but like the second row in, which when you go to see IMAX, like you're so close to the screen, the second row in, that it's literally both halves of the screen are, like, it fills your peripheral vision. Like if something happens on the right side of the screen, you literally have to like fucking turn your head right. Wasn't 3D though,
Right.
which I'm surprised because usually I guess because it's weird because in other places they had Captain Marvel in 3D, but not at the IMAX. I mean, it was just in IMAX. You know, it was just in the big screen format, IMAX format, but it wasn't 3D. And I got to say, we'll move on to other. I'm not going to get too deep into it because I have that saved for the nerdy news. But I fucking enjoyed it. For all the fucking haters out there that, these guys, and trust me, I'm the first person, like, I don't like movies that have a fucking agenda. Like, I didn't like Ghostbusters 2016. I am pissed off that, like, when we finally got The Force Awakens, Star Wars movie, it's focused on a girl and not, Luke Skywalker or someone from the Skywalker family. I mean, yes, technically Kylo Ren is a Skywalker, but, the movie wasn't about him. It's about Rey. And if we're going to follow anything to do with what happens in The Last Jedi, Rey's not even a Skywalker. So, when it comes to stuff like that, like, I do feel that those movies had an agenda. And, like to force a female protagonist down our throats, it really fucking turned me off. And The Force Awakens is good because it's a copy of the original Star Wars. And Ghostbusters 2016 was just a fucking, hunk of shit. That being said, for someone, and I'm the first person to say, I'm not going to buy into this SJW bullshit. Fucking Captain Marvel was okay. At the very least, it wasn't bad. It wasn't a horrible movie. Brie Larson isn't destroying Marvel. These people, these guys who have a real fucking agenda on their hands. And, and it's funny to watch over the weekend people who just bashing this fucking movie. And like literally, like with video titles like Brie Larson is destroying Marvel. I watched this whole other video where the guy like took the movie apart, and it's sort of like, oh, well, she's real cocky and confident, and what's that have to do with the character? And I'm like, when you watch the movie, and later on we'll get into spoilers, but the original character, the Brie Larson's playing Carol Danvers, she's an Air Force pilot. She's a female Air Force pilot. I'm pretty sure in this day and age, yes, I'm pretty sure there are female Air Force pilots. This movie takes place in 1995, and I think, and actually even goes back to 1989. Back in 1989, there weren't that many fucking female Air Force pilots. So just on that alone, if she's cocky, she has a fucking right to be cocky because she's broken through fucking glass ceilings. Just to be an Air Force pilot, you're flying a fucking plane at hundreds of miles an hour. Yeah, you're going to be cocky. And then in the story, and this isn't really spoiling too much, she gets into an accident, for the lack of a better term. She loses her memory, and then she gets recruited by fucking aliens, and she's working on like an alien force, the Kree alien force. And once again, I don't think that's spoiling too much from the movie. It's not really, that's not super important. You could kind of tell that because in the movie, it's sort of like she doesn't remember that she's a human. And so then she's part of like, for the lack of a better term, the Green Beret, of this fucking alien military force. Yeah, so she's part of the elite military. Yeah, she's gonna be cocky. She's gonna be a little aloof. And then they're like, oh, she doesn't have, doesn't have charisma. Have you ever seen when they interview fucking athletes after a game? Mm-hmm. The most incredible athletes in the world have the charisma of a fucking wet boot. Whenever they interview boxers or MMA guys or football guys, there's certain guys that have a personality, but look at Shaq. Shaq talks like he just woke up from a coma. Whenever they interview guys after, a basketball game or a football game or a baseball game, professional athletes have no fucking personality whatsoever. So, yeah, maybe Carol Danvers in this universe is someone who's good at what they do. A good warrior, a good fighter, a good pilot. She doesn't have to fucking smile and sing and fucking, clap and do the fucking, dancing monkey dance for you, to fucking make you happy. She's good at what she does. And, not every character can be full of charm and charisma. And, and once again, is it the greatest fucking Marvel movie? No, it's not. But it's better than, and I put this in a post, it's better than Iron Man 3. It's better than Thor 2. You know, it's better than Age of Ultron.
Thor 2 was actually pretty good, and I'll be honest with you, that was such a beautiful.
I mean, no, it was well shot, but
oh my god, oh.
But if
it was a woman, I would have had sex with that movie. Anyways, continue.
I don't know, Age of Ultron, Age of Ultron, Thor 2, Iron Man 3, those are like the low points in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and this movie was better than all of those. And once again, is it saying like, being the valedictorian in fucking summer school? Yeah, maybe. But for the way people are bashing this movie, and we'll get more into the details of the movie, and the nerdy news, but, my thing is, if you like Marvel movies, you'll like Captain. Don't listen to what the fucking haters are saying. Go out and fucking see it. And plus it helps set up, Endgame. And even like the next day when I went home, I saw it Thursday night, Friday morning, I watched Infinity War again. Cause it got my fucking, got my engine running. I'm like, all right, fucking, Endgame's in like a month and a half. Fuck it, it's Spider-Man and another, later on this summer. Fucking, get me. And it gets us geared up for, and they're like, oh, this is like, they're shoehorning her into it. Well, fucking Infinity War, Infinity War changed who Thanos was. Before Thanos was this fucking, bad guy, biggest scumbag in the universe. And Infinity War made Thanos a sympathetic character. And then we're going to have, Captain Marvel in Infinity War. It's sort of, is it changing? Is it a bit of a retcon? Yes, it is a bit of a retcon. But, it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's interesting, introducing a new character. And, by the time we get to Endgame, it's going to be her with other people, And other people, a lot of this movie had to do with Nick Fury. Yes! We like Nick Fury. We like Samuel L. Jackson. I want to see Samuel L. Jackson in every fucking movie. So for him, cause the guy that was complaining about the movie is like, oh, it's like a buddy cop movie. Yes! What's wrong with a fucking buddy cop movie? Samuel L. Jackson. Did you ever see The Long Kiss Goodnight with Samuel L. Jackson and, what's her face?
No, I don't think so. Oh. Well, wait a minute. Well, who else was in it?
It was, Samuel L. Jackson. And I can't believe I'm drawing a blank on the girl from A League of Their Own and Beetlejuice and oh my god, why am I drawing tall. She was pretty back in the day. And I mean, my long story short is, if you ever see The Long Kiss Goodnight, see now you got but Long Kiss Goodnight, it's a buddy, I'm not a buddy cop movie because it's more of like a spy thriller. But Gina Davis. Gina Davis. Yeah. Okay. Let me see. Yeah, Gina Davis. Gina Davis is in Long Kiss Goodnight. And so when you see that movie, like, she's a spy who loses her memory, kind of like Captain Marvel, and she comes across Samuel L. Jackson, who's just sort of like this hustler kind of character, and she starts to remember, and when she loses her memory, she kind of starts living like this real like, suburban mom kind of life. And then, she starts getting she gets into a car accident where she hits a deer, and she starts getting these flashbacks how she used to be this badass spy. So when before she was like this fucking, house mom, now she's fucking, shooting guns and learning how to fucking do, kung fu that she forgot about. So it reminds me of The Long Kiss Goodnight, as in, it's Samuel L. Jackson and the white chick, and the white chick has a bad memory, and, and then, starts realizing the badass powers that she has. So I have no problem with Samuel L. Jackson having a large part in this movie. I thought it was fun. And once again, we'll get into that later. Sticking with the 90s theme, one of the big movies of the 90s, Space Jam, and one of the biggest inspirational songs of the 90s, I Believe I Can Fly. Mr. R. Kelly, Mr. Robert Kelly, I didn't see the whole interview. I've seen clips. And is it me, or do you think R. Kelly's a little mentally challenged?
Well, first of all, did you see the video that I shared? You got to look on Facebook. Some DJ took him where he says, "Some men like."
Oh yeah, some men
all
like
women.
Yeah, some men like all women.
Into a fucking song. Oh my god, that is. So
and that's like the
hilarious.
second or third video I've seen like that. People have taken clips of him and have made it into songs. They'll put a beat over it. But yeah. But I mean, when you watch that video, and once again, trust me, I'm not being sympathetic. He's a pedophile, alleged. He's an alleged pedophile. Let me put that out there so I don't get fucking sued. He's an alleged pedophile. He allegedly, holds women against their fucking will, he allegedly, brainwashes women. And not to mention that he has so much fucking money that, he can keep a stable of fucking women around for just sex purposes. And he, allegedly he grooms them. And that's something I mentioned, just last episode. Let's not forget, where there's smoke, there's fire. This is a guy who fucking, literally married Aaliyah in the Caribbean. This guy has a history of this kind of behavior. And, now it's coming out of the closet, and we'll get to stuff like that later on. But, coming out of the closet, stuck in the closet, this stupid music for fucking idiots who don't know real fucking music. It's really fucking annoying, and he really doesn't have, my point being is that it's funny how people are very forgiving when you have talent. When you could sing a song and make people fucking happy, they seem to forget when you fucking pissed on a fucking 13-year-old or 14-year-old and fucking banged her.
So I know we're gonna get to Michael Jackson, but see the difference between Michael Jackson and this guy actually has a fucking tape. Mm-hmm. He got off before, and the problem that I have is that how did this guy get off when there's a tape of him peeing on a 13-year-old?
Well, it's one of those.
Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, that doesn't make any sense.
When you have a good enough lawyer to fucking have, like, if it has to be beyond a reasonable doubt, and like, cause the video's blurry or whatever. It's like, can we make sure that it's really fucking R. Kelly? Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things where, like, common sense will tell you, yes, there's a fucking problem here. But, through the court system, through our, you want to believe in I want to believe in our court system, but it is, our lawyers have become so fucking, evil, conniving, manipulative assholes that they can defend a guy like that. And in all good conscience, defend a guy like that and let him continue to run the streets. Because had we busted him fucking, cause what? Chappelle was goofing on fucking, R. Kelly back in 2002. So we are fucking 16 years later. If R. Kelly went to fucking jail back then, these girls that they're saying are his victims now, the girls that he's grooming now, the fucking sex cult that he has or whatever, those women wouldn't have been ensnared. They could have stopped this back then.
So here's something else to it though, Chris. Mm-hmm. And this is the sick part. I think some of those girls were actually basically sold to R. Kelly.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, like, it doesn't take away from the guilt that he's probably having sex with these girls under 18. Mm-hmm. Okay, that doesn't take away from anything. But I find it even more sick that these parents are doing this just for cat. Mm-hmm. And that's just sad. It's really sad. And I think that it just goes to show how some of these people out here are just so fucking stupid. Ugh, I get so sick and tired of this.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Money could fucking wash away all your fucking problems. Or, money can, distract people enough where, and that's the whole thing is, like, I made a post about this, like, Bill Cosby, and we'll get to this later, Michael Jackson, R. Kelly, Harvey Weinstein, Woody Allen, Roman Polanski, Louis C.K., all these guys have done horrible, horrible fucking things, but they had money, and money helped them get away with it. Eventually, guys got caught, but, fucking Woody Allen is still fucking walking the streets. Roman Polanski escaped to fucking Europe. Bill Cosby, it took fucking how many decades before they finally got Bill Cosby? Michael Jackson, 10 years after his death, they're taking it, and we'll get to that later, but, they're taking his music off the radio. It's sort of like, when you have enough money, you can cover up, you can kind of cloud people's fucking memories long enough where, people kind of forget the fucking horrible shit that you did, or at least forgive the horrible shit that you did long enough where, I don't know. And I guess, and it's funny, it's sort of like, I want to say that maybe like if people become famous just so they can fucking indulge shit. As a poor man, I can't afford to pay anybody. I can't pay off the fucking a 14-year-old. So I'm going to wait till I fucking have money so I can finally, pay somebody else so I can get away with this fucking murder, And so
I don't know. I think that the whole thing with R. Kelly has basically, it's taken way too long to have this happen. But there again, like, honestly, I mean, if you've seen the Boondocks episode, I think we've all seen the Boondocks episode where they make fun of this. Mm-hmm. That's basically how it was. R. Kelly got away with everything. And honestly, I hate that. I know this is going to sound fucked up, but the people that let him get away with it should be guilty of this too. You allowed a predator to basically continue on with what he was doing and make it acceptable for him. So that's on you people, honestly. I don't give no fucks about that shit.
Yeah, some people, yeah. R. Kelly's paying a rent.
I don't give any fucks about it. Like, you people are the reason why R. Kelly's still doing this, and those people that sell their daughters are also a part of this. Oh, by the way, did you know? I don't know if you were gonna say this or not, but somebody paid his bail.
Oh yeah. Well, didn't they I think it was like the women that. Like his victims, the people that would be considered his victims, paid his bail, right? Or am I confusing stories here?
No, you're right.
But it's sort of, it is weird that we live in it. Like they're the what do they call that? Stockholm syndrome. The Stockholm syndrome is so fucking intense in these girls, and of course, they probably got the money because they're working with him. They're probably using his money to bail him out, but yeah, they're organizing his bail. It shows you the fucking power you can get when you have kind of money. And shit like this has been going on for years. We're just, because of the internet and because of the way the world is connected, shit like this is actually just coming to light. Cause I'm pretty sure shit like this has been going on for fucking centuries. It's just, what it is, we'll just, leave that at that. Let's stay with the 90s news. Luke Perry, star of the 90s, Beverly Hills 90210, probably one of the top 10 shows of the 90s. And is it an age thing? Do you remember watching 90210? Like, I was 12 or 13. Do you remember it at all? Was that part of your? I didn't watch it, but like the girls, I was very jealous of Luke Perry when I was 12 years old, because the girls like in my class, getting the panties. And had you told 12-year-old me, like, yeah, he dies of a stroke, I would have fucking loved it. That's horrible.
Yeah.
But okay. And here's my hot take on Luke Perry. Okay. The guy was 52 and died of a stroke. Now, don't get me wrong. There are people, unfortunately, out there that have bad genetics and will die at 52 of a stroke. That being said, how much fucking coke was this guy doing? And allegedly, and this is just my opinion and hot take on it. Nobody dies at 52 of a stroke, once again, unless you're fucking genetically, and he looked healthy. He didn't look like a guy that was fucking, people who die at 52 of a stroke aren't thin and handsome and have a full head of hair. And, my hot take is, I think this guy probably did so much fucking coke in the 90s. Fame is what was his undoing. And I know they say, it's one of those deals where, he's one of the people that died without controversy, unless, 10 years from now, they'll be like, fucking Luke Perry touched me at the set of 90210. But, I wouldn't be surprised in like 10 years.
Don't go there, because we're not to Michael Jackson yet. Don't go there yet.
Tori Spelling will come out like, oh, you touched me. But,
He touched me inappropriately even though I liked it.
All I'm saying is people don't die at 52 of a stroke unless you fucking help advance that shit with fucking drugs and shit like that, especially cocaine, early 90s, we're still recouping from the 80s, cocaine was still a big fucking deal. And once again, staying with the 90s, we'll stay with this 90. And speaking of people filled with coke, Keith Flint, the singer, if you want to call him the singer, for Prodigy, also passed away. And with that, that was a suicide. That was I believe a drug-induced suicide. And once again, a guy who was big in the 90s, if you remember, Firestarter and Smack My Bitch Up and Breathe with Me. Prodigy, one of the, a big band from the 90s. Before Keith Flint died of a stroke, he fucking, he committed suicide. And I don't mean to laugh. I'm just saying is that, when you have a fucking problem, 20, 30 years later, your body can't keep up to the way it was in the 90s, and you will fucking overdose. I liked Prodigy for what they were. I'm not going to pretend like I was their biggest fan. I kind of once again, I named like their 3 biggest hits. It's sort of like, one of those deals where, he died, but were we really surprised? He didn't look like a kind of guy that was going to stick around to his 80s.
Oh Lord!
I'm just saying,
the opinions of Chris Cologne.
This wasn't gonna,
not necessary.
There wasn't going to be, someone in an old age home like, weren't you the lead singer in Prodigy? That shit doesn't fucking happen.
The opinions of Chris Cologne.
All right, I have a couple more stories here.
Oh God!
Speaking of horrible fucking fates or disregard for the past, I posted a post. Did you see the car from Good Burger?
No.
Okay, but you remember Good Burger, right? The Kenan and Kel movie from the late 90s. I guess a kid in Florida won a contest and got the car, and it was like a fucking 1980 Pacer, like it's a little piece of shit car with the big hamburger on top. Well, I guess the kid didn't know what to do with it and just like fucking threw a tarp over it and left it like literally in a fucking trailer park. And now he's selling the car for $10,000, or he's asking for $10,000. I don't think he's going to get $10,000 for it, but it's the car from Good Burger, and it is covered in rust, falling apart, and like this selfish little prick, all these years, I look, I love Good Burger. It's a goofy fucking movie. It's definitely a product of its time. Kenan has fucking gone, the joke now is he's on Saturday Night Live, and he's like the longest fucking running cast member on Saturday Night Live. Kenan is an incredible entertainer and, has been in the public eye his whole life or whatever. And, to let the Good Burger mobile fucking go to rust is a fucking sin. And I wish I had $10,000. So I can buy the car.
Honestly, like I would be like, here's a penny, give it to me.
Yeah, I mean, like, I wish I had that kind of money where like I would buy it and fucking restore it. And it's a stupid thing, but and at the very least, once again, it was a fucking kid that got it. That's what kills me. It was like a young person got it. That's the kind of thing where you restore it, and you know what? You could do the whole like car show circuit. There's guys out there there's guys there who've recreated the DeLorean. There are guys out there who've recreated Ecto-1 from the Ghostbusters. And they go to car shows, and they kind of get money from that. The car show pays them a couple bucks, and they keep, and they use that money to keep the car restored. If I had the official fucking Good Burger car, I would have had it, and just like lease it out to fucking car shows. Here, bring it up. It's a fucking shame. And of course, yes, I know there's much more bigger problems in the fucking world today, but god damn it, a piece of my childhood here is dying when the Good Burger car is covered in fucking rust, and now the little fucker wants to ask $10,000 for it. But, so, the 90s are dying slowly. So, and I think I mentioned this last episode, Kevin Smith is doing a Jay and Silent Bob movie, and it's, even though he's technically rebooting, he's rebooting the movie Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, which technically came out in 2001 I think 2001. But Jay and Silent Bob are from the 90s, from Clerks. And I'll get to that later when Captain America. There's a connection between Jay and Silent Bob and Clerks and Captain Marvel. They're for the show Titans, the DC Universe show Titans, they're bringing in Superboy, but the version of the Superboy that came in after the death of Superman, which is very 90s, the death of Superman. And I don't know why no one seems to remember that when Superboy came out, the Superboy after the death of Superman, he was called the Metropolis Kid. Maybe it's a fucking Mandela effect that I remember this shit, but he was called the Metropolis Kid. But what I liked is they had the kid that was playing Superboy. He took a picture from those comics after the death of Superman, and he's doing the same pose as that Superboy. So at least, that he's showing respect for the past. I started watching Titans. I mean, I know people are saying it's really good. And now people are watching Doom Patrol, and people are saying that's good. But like I've watched a couple episodes of Titans, and it just hasn't really gotten me that excited. All right, so let's leave the 80s, and we'll take a time machine, and we'll go back to the 80s. All right, so before we get to the heavy duty stuff, let's do the lighter stuff first. Well, not lighter, but speaking of not light, wrestler King Kong Bundy passed away. And once, hey, look, big tall fat guys. Once again, just like the guy from Prodigy, big tall fat guys. You don't see old age homes aren't filled with big tall fat guys. Big tall fat guys seem to have an expiration date. King Kong Bundy passed away, and I mean that with all due respect, because I liked King Kong Bundy. Growing up as a fat kid, people would always kind of like compare you to King Kong Bundy, especially now that I shaved my head. And my special connection with King Kong Bundy, if you want to call it that, was that when I was a kid, my uncle who passed away, and he knew he was going. He took all the nephews, all my cousins, and mind you, my mother has like 6 brothers and 2 sisters. All the nephews, he took us all to Madison Square Garden to see WWF back in the day. And so long ago, back when it was still called WWF. And that night in Madison Square Garden, the main event was King Kong Bundy versus Jake the Snake Roberts. So that was like, those are good memories. And so, rest in peace, King Kong Bundy. I put a clip of this on my Facebook page. He was in a couple of movies. He had little, parts here and there, but, there's a movie called Moving with Richard Pryor, and he plays like this, the Richard Pryor, he hires this moving company, to move his ship, but then like they're all like criminals and thieves and maniacs and shit. So then he goes to another company, but then like those guys got fired from the first company that he didn't want to work with, and now they're working with the new company. And so like King Kong Bundy is like this guy who's a mover, and it's like he wears like overalls, and he like someone broke a bottle and he just walks over the glass barefoot, like he's like this real like just like a monster of a man. And so even though he's in the movie for fucking 5 minutes, if you ever get a chance, watch this movie called Moving, because it's a funny movie, and it was Richard Pryor, and it's not a family flick, but it's not all curses and stuff like that. It's not, it's about, Richard Pryor plays a guy with a family who's moving across country, and it was just, it turns out to be this long nightmare affair. So check that out. Alex Trebek. And once again, I'm pretty sure Alex Trebek probably was before the 80s. I think he might have been even working in the 70s, but I'm going to link this to the 80s. Alex Trebek has announced that he has pancreatic cancer. And, the survival rates for pancreatic cancer are never good. Steve Jobs died of pancreatic cancer. Patrick Swayze died of pancreatic cancer. I know there's a couple other, some really famous people. And the reason I say Steve Jobs and Patrick Swayze is these are guys with money. These are guys who had the resources to pay for the best doctors in the world. And you know what? That didn't fucking mean a goddamn thing, because they're both in the ground right now. And Alex Trebek, pancreatic cancer, this shit. And once again, I'm not saying like, I'm glad that he's dying or whatever. I was never the biggest fan of Alex Trebek. I've been watching Jeopardy my entire life. Some of my favorite memories as a kid is sitting with my dad watching Jeopardy. And, I never liked Alex Trebek. Alex Trebek was always really fucking snarky. And I know this is horrible, to be bad mouthing a guy who's fucking just announced that he's dying, for the lack of a better term. But, he always had a snarky fucking attitude. Yeah, it's really easy to be snarky when you have the answer sitting right there in front of you. When you have the answer on cue cards, as opposed to the people who are actually playing the game, who are nervous, who are in front of us. Alex Trebek is in front of the studio audience every day. And of course, Paul, remember, just a while back, about a little over a year ago, remember he called fans of nerdcore rap losers. Remember when the girl was on the show, and the girl was like, I like this nerdcore rap, and it's, people who like anime and science fiction. And he goes, loser. And I was like, motherfucker, people who like anime and science and math are people who watch Jeopardy. You're literally insulting your fucking fan base. Not that people who,
Well, it was the cancer, so.
Yeah. It's like, it's just like, I don't know, and did you have to be that fucking edgy? Did you have to be, to fucking, smack down people who like math, people who like anime, people, he could have just kept his fucking mouth shut. And then like the rappers, they came out with, Sucker Trebek. And, so, and not that, once again, I don't want to kick a man while he's down, but, he was kind of a dick. I really don't have too much sympathy for a guy that was kind of a dick.
Well, okay,
now that he's dying.
I mean,
I'm not saying he should die. I'm just saying I really, the guy was kind of an asshole for the past 30 years. Hey, you gotta go. You gotta go. Go on. I'm sorry.
Looks at the hole that Chris is digging for himself deeper.
Hey, look, if I fucking die, if I get hit by a fucking truck tomorrow, I'm an asshole. Karma's had it coming. I've had it coming for a long fucking time.
Well,
don't cry for me, Argentina. Go on. I'm sorry.
I mean, I don't get me wrong. I didn't like what Alex said there, but he's an icon. I still like him, and I hope the best for him. So, but we were going to talk about Michael Jackson, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. So I mean, my point being is that even Steve Jobs, one of the richest fucking men in the world, the guys with the most resources in the world, couldn't survive fucking pancreatic cancer. So it's only a matter of time. Okay. So staying with the 90s, one of the biggest fucking stars. I mean, speaking of the 80s, one of the biggest stars in the 80s, and it's big hot news right now, Michael Jackson. And the Michael Jackson legacy, a guy who's been in the public eye since he was literally 5 or 6 years old. From the Jackson 5, well up into his, his controversial death, where he was paying a doctor, he was paying a doctor with no fucking morals to fucking give him drugs that fucking keep people, fentanyl. There's a fucking epidemic right now in this country of people with, taking fentanyl to fucking get high. He was using it to sleep, and he had a very, once again, he had so much fucking money. A doctor who just saw dollar signs, kept, prescribing this medicine, or not medicine, something that's supposed to be used, once in a fucking lifetime for fucking daily use. And I know, Paul, you and I, we're going to take opposite sides on this. Where there's smoke, there's fire. For years and years and years, people have had jokes about Michael Jackson. Why did Michael Jackson, why did he go to Macy's? Because he heard boys' pants were half off. I think there was something there. I think the guy was not right in his fucking head. And once again, there's a connection between, maybe there is a connection between being talented and being a deviant. But I think he's guilty. I honestly think that, okay, you look at the guy's house, and I understand that, he had a troubled childhood and his father beat the shit out of him. And I get that, but it's sort of like, and once again, a lot of the stuff, I talk about stuff that I posted on, but at least on the podcast, I could elaborate my point. When a guy's a millionaire and wants to fuck women and wants to fuck, hot, when a guy's in his 50s and he's a millionaire and he wants to fuck hot 20-year-olds, what does he do? He gets a nice car, he gets a nice house, he gets nice things in his house. Why? Because girls in their 20s are attracted by that. A girl in her 20s gets her panties wet when she's in a Ferrari. A girl who gets wet, gets her panties wet. A girl in her 20s gets her panties wet when she walks into a fucking giant mansion. Well, what does Michael Jackson do? He builds a fucking zoo in his backyard. He builds a fucking amusement park in his backyard. He has unsupervised sleepovers in his house with fucking tons of children. And I understand that, he's saying, I didn't have a childhood, so now that I have the money, I'm kind of recreating my childhood. And I don't want to say that all of it was nefarious. I don't want to say that every sleepover was just him, preying on little boys. But I think there was, because the documentary, not the one that just came out, not Leaving Neverland or whatever, the one that just came out.
You mean Cash Grab?
I mean, yes, but there was the one with the Indian documentarian, where he interviewed Michael Jackson when Michael Jackson was still alive. And it's ignorant. I want to have these because I didn't have a childhood. And there's something not right there. His fucking circuitry was fucking screwed. Now, once again, like I understand he has a traumatic childhood. His father beat the shit out of him. This guy has never lived a normal day in his life because he's been in the spotlight since he was a fucking child. But I think with that, there was a sickness there that made him want to touch little boys' peepees. You know what I'm saying? He wanted to give them fucking Jesus juice. And there was like a sick disconnect between, since he didn't have a childhood and sleeping with young boys and hanging out with fucking, with the Corey Feldman and Macaulay Culkin and the kid who played Webster. There's a weird fucking thing going on there. And once again, I don't think he was sitting there like a predator. Unlike R. Kelly, I think R. Kelly sat there like a predator and was grooming young girls. I think Michael Jackson was doing just as horrible shit. Maybe his intentions were in the wrong fucking place. And his world he had a warped fucking worldview. But I think he's guilty. I think he slept with these little boys. He touched their little peepees, and because he wanted to. We're going on, so I'll let you. I'm sorry, I've been ranting.
Are you done? Because I'm about to take like an hour to explain all this. So I talked a little bit about this on the Paul and Darrell show, which you should free plug. Go get the patreon.com/Toonami Faithful podcast, get the Toonami Faithful Pass, and listen to mine and Darrell's show there. Sorry, I cheated on you. I'm sorry, Chris.
I can get mad.
But I didn't go into as much detail, and I kind of was saving it for this. So, number one, do I think there's an issue there? Obviously, there's an issue here. We found that when celebrities are talked about like something's going on, obviously there's something going on. Now, there's two problems here that come up, that arise. Number one, thousands of kids literally went to Neverland Ranch. A lot of them were celebrity, and I've never seen any celebrity kids basically bash this guy. Like, now, I'm sure I know what Chris is going to say, so I might as well just say it myself. Well, he wouldn't be stupid enough to, basically
touch Macaulay Culkin's pee-pee?
Right. He wouldn't be stupid enough to touch a celebrity's, dick, because what is that going to get him? That's not going to get him anywhere.
We're home alone. I'm sorry.
Actually,
I'm sorry.
Did he ever have little girls there at all?
That's the whole thing. He didn't.
Yeah, I didn't think so. Yeah, so
I'm gone.
So the one thing that, number one, I think we have to understand that this man was a lot more intelligent than we gave him credit for. Now, I think, first of all, if you want to lay blame for Michael Jackson's childhood on anybody, his father should be taken in front of a firing squad, shot several times, his body parts cut up, and then set on fire. Mm-hmm. That's how shitty of a dad he was. He beat this fucking kid. He didn't let this kid have a fucking goddamn life. And honestly, like, we've all seen the Jackson 5 VH1 special, which is a classic. It's a really good movie, but it doesn't explain the bad parts. And that's where I kind of sit there and go, okay, you're definitely looking at something that happened that was horrible. I don't think what I personally think, Chris, is I think that something happened with Michael Jackson, and that maybe when he first put Neverland Ranch in, something happened where he may have done something with the kid, but I think it stopped shortly after that first whatever that was. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm not saying that he's not guilty of something here, but again, I don't think that he was doing this the whole time. I don't think that this was something that was a constant basis. We would have heard so many more fucking people come out and say something if that was the case. Again, Chris, we're talking about thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of kids going to Neverland Ranch.
Yeah, I mean, I think he had good intention. I don't think this is all just fucking like a meat market for him. I think it wasn't drooling over fucking rooms full of children. Right. But just on occasion, one has to stray for the herd, and he's got to touch their peepees. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we're going. I'm sorry.
But okay, so I don't know about you sometimes.
I'm going to hell. I know.
Let me just take that beer away from you. So I fucking hate you, Chris. You took me right off fucking topic.
I'm sorry.
So basically,
he had hundreds. He probably had hundreds of kids that was as a charitable. Once again, I don't think it was all just with nefarious fucking things. He was making up for a lost childhood. And he did like the innocence of children, and not in a nasty, perverted way. We're going. Sorry.
Right. So now that I kind of have my wits back after that fucking comment, So, I mean, okay, so would I, like, if Michael Jackson were still alive and he was still like letting kids into the Neverland Ranch and whatnot, would I let my kid go? Absolutely not. You know, obviously something weird is going on. And okay, let's just take the whole pee-pee touching thing out of the equation. Him just sleeping with boys is just weird. Yeah. And, you know, maybe, I'll be honest with you, Chris, maybe that's all it was. Now, is it weird? Yes. Is it to the point of where we sit there and go, this guy needs to be locked up? Maybe not. I mean, as long as he's not doing anything more than just sleeping in the same bed with some of these kids, that's, you know what I'm saying? Like, do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, it could be, although not right, just not being, once again, not being a predator, just being a hurt child who happens to be a millionaire. And I think that's living out some sort of weird, you know, right, recapturing their youth because it's a childhood that they never fucking had. Right. And now they have enough money where they can kind of recreate their childhood.
Right. And I really think that's what was going on more than anything else. I don't know that for sure. And maybe once or twice he did do something. But here's the problem. And here's the second part of my argument here. Mm-hmm. And by the way, I'm not condoning him sleeping with kids either. I'm just saying, like, we've seen celebrities and what some of these fucked up people can do. I mean, it doesn't get more fucked up than R. Kelly peeing on a 13-year-old girl. Hey. I mean, that's as fucked up as you can get.
If it gives us a thriller or the occasional I Dream I Can Fly, I guess a couple kids gotta take one for the team. For the better sake of humanity. I know I'm going to fucking hell. I'm sorry.
Yes, you are. But so number two, everybody that's like come out and said something about Michael Jackson, every time they're people extorting him for money, and it's like, so on the one side you're like, okay, well, something's probably going on here, but on the other side, then you see these people that are getting caught for extorting him, and you're like, well, wait a minute, is there something going on over here? Or is he extorting? Are people extorting him? You see what I'm saying? So there's kind of like this huge gray area when it comes to Michael Jackson. I kind of think something was going on. I don't think it crossed a really huge red line. I mean, it seemed like he was crossing a red line, but I don't think he crossed it to where I would be like, how do I put this? Like, he hurt these kids and now he needs to go to jail kind of thing. I don't think he had any bad intentions is where I'm coming from on this. And I want people to understand that. I'm not saying, like, I'm not condoning what Michael Jackson was doing. I'm saying I don't think he was doing anything maliciously. And that's because that's the kind of content. I mean, somebody doesn't go and make a goddamn Neverland Ranch to hurt kids. Okay. Obviously, if he was a sexual predator and he was hurting these kids, a lot of these thousands of kids would have came out and said something by now. The guy's dead. Which leads me to this stupid fucking goddamn documentary that just came out. Fuck Oprah. Fuck those two guys. You're trying to get cash, and you're trying to do it on the backs of the Me Too movement. A shame. You should be fucking shamed. Shame on all of you for fucking doing that bullshit. Okay? These two kids, here, let me give you some, and by the way, this is the problem with our society today. We don't do fucking research. These two kids tried to sue the Jackson estate. What was like 2 or 3 years ago, when their case got dismissed because they had no merit. And by the way, they sued him when he was dead, by the way. Again, what a surprise. Now we have this documentary with these two guys who are over 18, obviously now. And they're accusing Michael Jackson, but Michael Jackson's dead. He's been dead for 9 years. And you bring a documentary out about him 9 years ago. Oh, and fuck you, Oprah, for, oh, well, Michael Jackson's my friend. I had him on several times, but he's a bad person. What? Mm-hmm. You're as guilty as he is if that happened. Fuck you. Now you're on my shit list. Like, do you not agree with me that she's trying to cash in?
Oh, no. Don't get me wrong. She's cashing in. But it's sort of like the women who fucking waited decades to speak out against Bill Cosby. You know, it's sort of...
Yeah, but
there's you want me to really people that are fucking traumatized and once again, it feels like,
dude. Here's the problem. Here's the problem with the Me Too movement. Okay, are there real victims? Yes, but the problem is these fake victims are coming in and trying to cash in on the real victims, and it's making a lot of us sit there and go, wait a minute, do we have a due process to eliminate the fake people from the real people? Do we have a process to sit there and say, this person is telling the truth, but this person's not? Mm-hmm. Because here's my problem. And it's the same thing that happened with Bill Cosby. I think Michael Jackson and Bill Cosby are related in a lot of ways, because here's the thing. we're gonna go to the 70s tonight, Chris, because you brought it up. We might as well go to the fucking 70s. Mm-hmm. I mean, you got a guy. What's his name? Eddie Griffin, I think is his name. He's, you know who I'm talking about, the comedian.
The comedian, yeah.
You know who I'm talking about. There's a video on YouTube. I've actually talked about this on the podcast, so I'm not gonna go too deep into this. Mm-hmm. But the one thing he said he said, these women that were, as you would say right now in our time, down to fuck, went to Cosby's room under their, they weren't coerced, they weren't put under drugs, they went to his room willingly because he's Bill Cosby. They wanted his dick. Let's just say how it is. And now, 45 years later, because of all of that, he's dealing with this bullshit. I'm honestly surprised that this case didn't get thrown out. Well, and also the prosecutor that made a deal with Bill Cosby, I don't understand why he's not being brought up on charges. I don't understand why this hasn't been appealed yet, too. Because here's my problem with it. Bill Cosby, I feel like Bill Cosby didn't do anything wrong. Again, and that's the thing, like, we're talking about two different sides of the spectrum here. We're talking about a guy who basically got a bunch of women, and yeah, everybody was doing cocaine back in the 70s. We know that, Chris. We're not stupid. We're actually intelligent individuals, unlike some fucking people out there these days. Okay? And here's the thing. The Quaaludes thing that people were alluding to, they used to use Quaaludes to bring you out of the crack high. That's what they used to do. It's you can Google search this shit. It's not even funny. You know what I'm saying? But there's a difference between something that was normal during the 70s and R. Kelly peeing on a kid. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, do you see, like...
I mean, yeah, in the 60s and 70s, everybody was fucking everybody. I mean, that's what that's how we ended up with fucking AIDS in the fucking 80s, because people just couldn't fucking keep their fucking...
But do you understand what I'm saying, together. Chris? Like you can't sit there and say Bill Cosby, when Bill Cosby was convicted of something that was normal during the 70s, and now he's paying for it. That's why I don't want to be a celebrity. That's why I don't want to be a politician, because, like, I haven't done anything morally wrong or bad, but it's like, what would happen is if, like, I farted the wrong way in the past.
Yeah. Well, I better not become famous, because this fucking podcast would be my downfall. It's like, this guy prayed for fucking Alex Trebek to die of pancreatic cancer. Shit. Yeah. You're a bad man, Chris. Go on, I'm sorry.
Do you understand what I'm saying, though, man? Like, it's gotten way out of hand, and I'm getting a little sick and tired of it. I don't believe that these two people that were on this documentary were raped or touched or whatever by Michael Jackson, because guess what? You not only filed a lawsuit 6 or 7 years after he died, but you also then are now 9 years later in a documentary about him. And honestly, I hope the Michael Jackson estate doesn't not only sue those two people, but they sue Oprah as well, because Oprah, dude, like, you cannot, like, literally, you can Google right now every single episode that Michael Jackson was on Oprah's show, right? Mm-hmm. And you could take all that evidence, put it before a judge in a civil suit, and say, listen to me, how is this not a cash? Mm-hmm. How is it not a cash grab? Here, I have several pieces of evidence of him being on a show. I also have all these times when Oprah was with Michael Jackson. So, if she was friends with this guy, and let's say that Michael Jackson was doing something, isn't she as guilty as him? So, if she was truly his friend, why did she do this documentary? It's a cash grab, Your Honor. She needs to pay. And guess what? She probably would pay. She probably would have to pay.
Now, here's my thing. I mean, it's so weird that all this shit is coming out now, when literally in the past, like, 2 weeks, they changed the thing where, for the survivors of, like, altar boys or young boys that were touched by, like, Catholic priests, because I think before it used to be, like, the statute of limitations was, like, 7 years, but, but now, like, they changed the thing now where kids that were touched by fucking, priests, and you know, they literally, there was like, you know, they extended the statute of limitations, where now it's like it doesn't matter to the fucking day you die. It's not like 7 years ago they can't convict you now of that felony or whatever the case may be. You know, there are people who are the survivors of fucking childhood attacks where, you know, there's a psychological thing going on where they don't want to go after their accusers. You know, there's a lot of pressure. You know, and once again, I'm just kind of playing devil's advocate here. You know, there's people that, you know, you get touched as a fucking little kid, and a millionaire wants to touch your fucking pee-pee, it fucks you up in the head so much where you don't know how to react, or maybe it's so fucking traumatic that you blocked it out. You know, or quite frankly, maybe you were paid to shut the fuck up, and that wasn't the right thing to do. You know, you were paid to shut the fuck up, and you're like, you know what, that wasn't right. Maybe I shouldn't have shut the fuck up because they paid me to shut the fuck up. That guy kept going on and touching other fucking kids and ruining their lives. So, I mean, it's sort of weird that, like, just this past 2-3 weeks, they fucking passed legislation saying that, like, you know, survivors of abuse from the Catholic Church or priests in general, you know, now, you know, there's no fucking, you know, window that they can hide from, you know, statute of limitations. I mean, in this particular case, I can't speak on because I don't know all the facts. I'm not going to lie, but, you know, I mean, just once again, you know, just keep in mind that there are people that are victims that, you know, they didn't necessarily come out 10 years ago because things were, maybe they don't want to ruin the person's legacy. You know,
here's my point.
I'm pretty sure those guys right now, I mean, yes, is it a cash grab in a way? Yes. But, you know, it's also like, in this day of fucking social media and stuff like that, I'm pretty sure fans of Michael Jackson, you know, if you came out, and let's just say you were legitimately touched by Michael Jackson, you know, once, you know, hypothetically, you were legitimately touched. If you come out and say, I was touched by Michael Jackson, your fucking social media would be fucking flooded with Michael Jackson fans who don't want to fucking see the truth for what it is, don't want to think of their fucking idol being besmirched in any fucking way. And you couldn't fucking, you know, you couldn't, your emails would be fucking hacked, your social media would be hacked, you'd be, you know, doxxed, you'd be in fucking denial of service.
But
people would attack you just because you told the truth about their hero.
But here's the point that I'm trying to make here.
Uh-huh.
Where does this stop though, Chris? Like where does it stop? Like where is it that this stops? Like, okay, so the guy that apparently touched these two guys dies. Mm-hmm. So number one, he can't defend him. Mm-hmm. That's my biggest problem here. But number two, where's your evidence? What I'm trying to, with the point that I'm making, Chris, and I think there's a lot of people feel this way, but they just won't say it in public because they don't want to get attacked on social media. Trust me, there's a lot of times I want to comment on a CNN post or a post from local news, and I don't because people just just continue to do this Trump circle that I like to call. Oh yeah. No. This is the truth, and I'm just going to keep going around in the circle. What it is, Chris, is that we need to come up with a way of due process for people. I get that they're going to be victims, and I want victims to come out and say something. Mm-hmm. But here's the problem. At a certain point, we have to sit there and go, what is your evidence? What is your evidence? Because that's another reason why I don't want to be famous and know everything. Let's say, Chris, you're a famous singer. Anyways, let's say
that
you're
a guy in a podcast going. I'm sorry.
Yes. Okay. So let's say that you become really famous. You're known worldwide. Okay. You don't do anything wrong. You don't touch little boys. You don't hug girls. You don't even touch them inappropriately because you don't want anything to happen to you. Mm-hmm. 10 women come out against you, but none of these 10 women have any evidence against you. What's the first thing that you want to know? What's the first thing that you want from them? Evidence, right?
Evidence, yeah.
Does social media care about that? No. So you're automatically, here's the problem. Something comes and happens to you, Chris, you're automatically guilty to maybe millions of people because social media and the news has said this allegation has come out. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So it's kind of my feeling on Al Sharpton. Al Sharpton? No, not Al Sharpton.
I was like, what?
Not Al Sharpton. I'm sorry.
Who?
I'm losing my mind. Oh God, what is his name? He was a senator.
See, I know I'm not that fucking drunk. No, senator.
Do you know who he was? A senator. He had to. It was at the beginning of the year. He had to give up his, or not at the beginning of the year. He had to give up his seat because people accused him. He used to be a comedian. God, I can't think of his name.
Way over my head. I don't know what you're talking about.
What was his name?
Al Franken.
Al Franken. That's who I meant.
Oh, okay.
So that's why I said.
There's a big difference between Al Franken and Al. Go on. I'm sorry.
So you know what I'm saying? Like it's one of those things where I sit there and I look at it and I go, okay, maybe he did something as a comedian because he was trying to make a point. He was trying to make a laugh as a comedian. And by the way, more than likely, this woman probably consented to it because she was a comedian too. Cash grab again, and then all these other women that don't have any evidence come out, which I think Republicans sent them against him, but whatever. I don't think Al Franken does not seem like somebody that's going around like touching people on purpose. Okay, you understand what I'm saying? Like, where's your evidence?
But I mean, look, once again, it's just what evidence is an 11-year-old going to have when, once again, let's say they were 11-year-old in the fucking 90s or whatever, Okay, Michael Jackson touches your fucking pee-pee. He goes, oh, don't tell anybody. Don't tell anybody. If you tell anybody, I'm going to go to jail. Or maybe he even what if he made fucking outright threats? You tell anybody, I'm going to make sure your family goes to jail. An 11-year-old doesn't have the fucking mental capacity to go, holy shit, this guy doesn't have a fucking, leg to stand on. He touched my fucking pee-pee. And, oh my God, I better keep quiet because he's going to send my parents to fucking jail. If I fucking, I try to, an 11-year-old, once again, I'd say, look, I have no idea what the ages they are. I'm just assuming a fucking 11-year-old boy gets touched because he goes to a sleepover. He doesn't know how to fucking process. And then once again, there are people who are fucking survivors of such traumatic fucking things that they shut it out. That's the brain. The brain can, the brain will fucking have you totally fucking deny all kinds of reality because it couldn't process the idea of some fucking person you trusted touching your fucking genitals.
I get what you're saying.
And I don't mean to. I'm making it sound. I'm making a joke out of it. I don't mean to make a joke out of it. It's a fucking serious fucking thing. But I'm just saying is that what evidence is an 11-year-old going to have if he gets touched in the fucking genitals by a guy in the room and he has nothing. He has no. What is he going to do? It's not like there's a camera running on him or anything like that.
But here's the problem. Here's the problem again with that. You got Corey Feldman. You got Macaulay Culkin. You got other celebrity kids that went there. When Michael Jackson would do these sleepovers, they were there with other kids. Mm-hmm. He was around those other kids all at the same. Nothing happened. They were all there. They witnessed everything. Nothing happened, dude. Like, you're telling me, like, I understand what you're saying, but there's also evidence to say that nothing actually happened. You got respected people that are now actors, that are adults, that could clearly come out and say something if there was an issue, but nothing was ever said. If there is. And nobody said anything. Now, if somebody credible comes out and says something, I'll shut the fuck up and just be like, well, I guess Michael Jackson did do something. But for me, with all the evidence that's been shown, this to me is just another person trying to get money, trying to extort money out of, now the Jackson estate. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So if my thing is if there's a pattern of somebody being extorted, then why would I go and believe these two boys? You understand what I'm saying? I get where you're coming from. But if there's evidence that extortion has happened several times, which there is, and there's also celebrity kids that went there, because remember, there was probably hundreds of the celebrity kids that went there too. Trust me, some of these dads, they probably would have kicked his ass. they would have beat the shit out of Michael Jackson. Mm-hmm. Honestly, they're not the kind of guys that need money because they're making a shitload of money. Trust me, they would have beat the fuck out of Michael Jackson. That's the other part that needs to be specific as well. Mm-hmm. I just think that we have to understand. Let's bring this to the end. That we can't go and blame somebody when there's evidence that he's been extorted so many times that it just doesn't make sense at this point that this isn't extortion again. And I think that's what it is. And that's the other thing. Like, there are two. That's what I'm saying, Chris. There's two pieces of evidence here that support Michael Jackson. They support him, and in a good way. These celebrity kids are going, look, nothing happened. We were there. We were there several times. None of these kids, and Corey Feldman said that he was there with these two boys that were in the goddamn documentary, and he's like, I was there. nothing fucking happened.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what do you want? Like I can't sit here and make something up. It is the truth. Mm-hmm. Nothing happened. And that's what I'm saying, dude. Like, you gotta, when we go into these situations, except for the R. Kelly thing, because clearly he's guilty. But I mean, like, you gotta go into these situations and see the whole picture. Cosby's one, Al Franken's one, Michael Jackson's one. You gotta take a look at the whole situation before you sit there and go, he's guilty. And I think that's the sad part about our world right now. We target people and we say they're guilty without it. R. Kelly, there's evidence. There's been evidence. Mm-hmm. Just he was never convicted. Yeah, and that's
because it wasn't 100% shadow of no shadow without a shadow of a doubt guilty. When it's sort of like, I mean, yeah, it wasn't the clearest tape, but that was fucking that pretty much looked like fucking R. Kelly, you know. And no other guy who looks like R. Kelly is fucking a 13, 14-year-old girl in a fucking music studio. Yeah, that'd be one hell of a coincidence.
And I'm gonna be honest with you. Mm-hmm. It's those. I don't think it's necessarily R. Kelly himself. You know what? You might be onto something. He might have him. I'm starting to get on that wavelength with you, Chris. Actually, after seeing that interview, but I think it's more that people are encouraging him to do this because they're selling their daughters to R. Kelly. Yeah. I mean, if you encourage it, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's kind of your fault. Yeah. And, you know, it is what it is. Yeah. So
I think with that
very long
without me tooing anybody, I think we're going to be back with more dick and fart joke. And I got to take a piss.
This episode of Two Strangers, One Podcast is brought to you by Comics Etc. 1115 East Main and North Goodman at the Hungerford Building, door number 8. Find out more information at comicsetc.biz or like them on Facebook at facebook.com/comicsetc1.
Did you ever see a film at such a young age it left you traumatized with cinematic wounds? Necrophilia. It's a dead issue, man. Don't push it. Cinema Psyops is a weekly podcast documenting an ongoing experiment on the mind of an unwilling test subject.
No one should have to watch this movie.
Oh, no one should have to watch this?
No one should have to watch this movie.
Surprisingly, it's not a topic that a lot of people really want to tackle.
I'm shocked, prudes.
I know, really.
Right?
It's the next sexual frontier that no one wants to explore.
I am, in the most sincerest of senses, disappointed in you.
It takes a powerful goddess like Connie, jam her arm down the monster's throat and kill it. Oh, I'm still tripping out over that. Even as a kid, I was like, I gotta find a girl like that. Every week, I get a new look of disappointment that I never thought I could get out of.
Unimaginable. At 12 years old, you should not be watching this movie.
Obviously.
At 13, you should not be. 14, you shouldn't be. I'm not entirely sure even 17-year-olds should be watching this.
Just because you're offended by something doesn't mean that you have the right to demand that it doesn't exist. Watching this film again, I had all of this like little nerd glee with everything that kept
little history doll popping up
absolutely.
at you.
So I totally loved this film.
Hey, I know why you couldn't see that. It's because your brain's warped from watching this shit at 12 years old.
Yeah, this is a rough movie. I told you ahead of time when we were getting ready to do it that it was going to be a rough.
How could you watch this shit at 12?
Because physical wounds heal, cinematic ones don't. Listen to Cinema Psyops.
And we're back. All right, Paul, let's see. Can you identify this noise? Oh, shit, wait. Can you identify this noise?
What's that noise?
That's me cracking the bottle on another 40.
Oh, God.
Tap the bottle and twist the cap. And we're back.
Terrell would be so proud of you.
And we spent so much time talking about Michael Jackson. Like, there's other stuff. Maybe we should just rapid fire this stuff from current news.
Kind of like how Chris has sex, rapid fire. Because he sucked.
And okay, so, alright, let's talk about, real quick, Momo Traverse. You know, I'm a fucking parent. You know, my daughter's right in that window where, you know, she watches a lot of fucking videos on YouTube. And it's weird because, like, my daughter really does not care about watching regular TV or Netflix. She doesn't even like Netflix. Like, she'll watch stuff, but it's sort of like I have to put something on Netflix for her to enjoy. Kids nowadays watch YouTube videos. You know, if you leave a kid, and it's weird because our devices, our tablets, our phones, or whatever, are so intuitive that a kid, my daughter was watching YouTube videos at fucking 4 years old, 5 years old. Kids know how to use these devices. So I've known about Momo for the past couple of months because my daughter was telling me about it, and there's a billion fucking, urban legends connected to it, and not to the extent of like telling people they have to kill themselves. That's the new sort of, thing. But like when you watch videos, like, okay, like they have the YouTube Kids app. So parents are like, oh, well, if my kids are watching YouTube Kids, then things won't, then they won't, they're not going to see anything bad. Well, there's people out there who take kids' videos. And I remember one in particular, because my daughter growing up was a big fan of that show Yo Gabba Gabba. And, Yo Gabba Gabba was really weird and trippy, and it's sort of like, it's a modern day Sesame Street, but then again, people who make shows like that are obviously fucking getting high all the time. So there's YouTube videos of Yo Gabba Gabba where someone will take like Adobe Premiere or whatever, whatever video editing program that's out there, and take the episodes and edit them and make them all trippy and slow them down and speed them up and now once again, it's not necessarily there to like, oh, kids are going to fucking have to kill themselves. But like there's videos out there who will pass the filters and go on YouTube Kids, but are sort of, it's more of like kids with this technology playing with the technology. A 12-year-old has access to Adobe Premiere. A 12-year-old has access to, Final Cut Pro and stuff like that, or Hit Film. There's video editing programs out there. Fucking watch any, Vine or TikTok. There's a billion video apps out there, and kids take videos that are kind of innocent, and the fun thing is to take an innocent video and make them weird and trippy and mean and spirited. So, when my daughter would watch videos of fucking Yo Gabba Gabba stuff, and then like I'm hearing like slowing it down and speeding it up and making everything look like trippy colors and stuff like that, like they make it look like a nightmare or a fucking like acid, and I'll take the fucking tablet from her, like, what the fuck are you watching? And then you kind of scan through the video and like, no, you're not going to watch this, move on to the next video. Shit like that goes through the filters. So for them to say like, Yo Peppa Pig or whatever the fuck, Peppa Pig, and then Momo telling you to kill yourself, there's a million urban legends, and all Momo was this weird, creepy looking statue that a Japanese artist made. And it's this girl with this goofy face, and then like and the funny thing is like it has boobs, but then it also has like chicken legs, so it's sort of like a half bird, half human hybrid thing. And it was a weird, creepy looking picture. And then just like the way memes and stuff like that, and stuff that trends, and stuff that goes viral on the internet goes, the Momo was a meme. Momo was a viral thing that went across the internet, and people were adding creepy stories to it. And there's apps on the fucking phone that's like, Momo will call you and tell you to kill yourself and stuff like that. And that's the whole thing. There's all these people tripping out, and like, it wasn't YouTube videos. People were making apps where it pretends like your phone is getting a phone call, and then when you pick up the phone, quote unquote pick up the phone, it's whatever they wanted you to hear. There's there's innocent apps like that where like you could tell your kids, oh, I'm going to call Santa Claus, and Santa Claus calls, oh, I hope you're behaving yourself, little boy, little girl, So, I mean, don't be wrong. It's a bunch of assholes doing cruel fucking things, but any parent that's doing their fucking job, would have caught that shit. And once again, I learned about Momo months ago, and and if there was any videos that I thought that was telling my daughter to harm herself, I would fucking intervene and say, you understand. And then plus, it's also teaching kids to understand that there are people out there who are fucking mean. There are people out there who are mean spirited and want to hurt you or want to create enough chaos that if you hurt yourself, they're mean spirited enough where that makes them happy. And I know this coming from a guy who fucking just wished fucking Alex Trebek dies of pancreatic cancer, but it's, there's shit out there, and you have to teach your kids to understand the difference that, and it's the same thing like teaching your kids not to speak to strangers. You want your kids to grow up and be well-adjusted human beings and not shut off the whole fucking world, but you also have to teach your kids sometimes strangers are bad people. Sometimes strangers want to fucking hurt you and do bad things to you. So just do your fucking job as a parent, and this Momo shit wouldn't have got out of hand. This is exactly, when I was growing up, there was, people are putting razor blades in the apples on Halloween, or there are temporary tattoos out there
They're still doing it.
Yeah, there's temporary tattoos out there that are laced with LSD. So when you put the temporary tattoo on your skin, you're really dosing yourself with LSD. Or you go to someone's house for candy on Halloween, and they're giving you ecstasy instead of candy, because ecstasy, they have those little pills that are shaped like candy and shit. It's this weird hysteria that has no fucking base, or probably did happen once somewhere, and is nowhere near, the full-blown fucking chaos and panic that they're trying. But it's so weird. It's the new modern age where shit like that doesn't happen. When parents thought their fucking kids listened to heavy metal music and was worshiping the devil, or playing Dungeons and Dragons and worshiping the devil. It's shit that probably, one kid probably killed his fucking family or whatever. And now, now every other kid who fucking grows up, playing Dungeons and Dragons is, they're going to think you're going to kill your family because you play Dungeons and Dragons. That's not the case. It's just like this. It's funny how technology changes, but the same bullshit hysteria spreads, virally. So don't worry about fucking Momo. If you do your job as a fucking parent, you don't have to worry about Momo. Okay. Let's move on. I unfriended 2 guys recently on Facebook. I don't know if they listen to the podcast. Probably not. And you know what it is? I just got sick and tired of, and I understand, once again, I know I have my agenda, and I know I'm an asshole, and I know I say things that could provoke people, and that's, that's my curse. But it's sort of like, I would put stuff about Bernie Sanders, I would put stuff about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and it's like, I would post something, and they felt fucking compelled to post on it. Like, I could have fucking posted anything. And I see it happen on my friends' accounts also, where, friends of mine will post something about, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and you just see fucking 30 fucking posts from angry fucking white guys who don't like seeing her face, and talking how she looks stupid, and she's a troublemaker, and she looks like she's crazy, and all this other shit. And it's like, and one of the things I kind of post is, I would rather have a person that's crazy, if that's what crazy is, a person that's trying to fight for healthcare, fight for education, than someone who's pushing for fucking Trump. And I don't want to make this into a political thing, who's there about wasting money on a wall, or wasting money on helping corporate assholes, corporate welfare, when corporations weren't doing it too good and getting a fucking bailout from the government. I'd rather have someone who's quote unquote wasting money on education and healthcare than someone who's wasting money on corporate fucking welfare and corporate welfare and building a fucking useless fucking wall. So I got sick and tired of it. And usually I'm very tolerant, and I just, and these are guys that I've, one of the guys I unfriended, this is a guy that I've known since childhood. This is a guy like, I've been in his house. I've been, long story short, I went on a fucking blind date with his sister once. It's a long story, but that's how I got to meet him. And then, he still works with my childhood best friend. This guy works with my childhood best friend. So we kind of have our same kind of, we're connected in a roundabout way. And I was friends with him just sort of the fact of just for being the niceties of social media. But, if I'm going to post something about Bernie Sanders or Bernie Sanders, hey, drink. Let me have another drink.
Oh God,
delicious.
God. That's what she said.
But if I'm going to post something about that, I don't want every time I have to post something like that, I have to fucking sit and deal with your fucking nasty, uneducated fucking comments, because these things were, they're attacking her for all the wrong fucking reasons. Attack her policies, attack, and so, and the whole thing is that, like, and like I said, one of the guys was sort of like, dude, you came from nothing. You lived in the fucking projects. I know your family. You were friends with my older brother. Just the fact that you married someone with money, and now you live a better life because you married into a well-to-do family. Don't all of a sudden act like you were, there's a joke of the people who were, they were born on third base, but they pretend they hit it a triple. You married well, and you did. Don't turn your back on the people that you fucking grew up with because you think you're better than them. Because if it wasn't for your fucking wife, you'd probably be a fucking, working for your money the way a person has to work. Not all of us can fucking, get money from our wives. Not all of us can get money from our parents. Not all of us fucking, and it's something I kind of posted, when our parents pass away, not everyone's going to inherit a house. Not everyone had their parents pay for them to go to fucking college. Before you fucking cast aspersions, remember where the fuck you came from. And so and once again, I'm just venting here. Yes, I'm drunk and I'm on the podcast, but it's sort of like, I got tired of.
I'm glad that you admitted that.
I'm just tired of fucking, and it's just the way social media is. I really wish Facebook, remember like when Google Plus was trying to be a thing, Google had a thing where they had it called circles. Now remember, like you would have circles. So like you could have your friends post and you have your friend circle and you have like a family circles. So like, if I was posting, when I post rude shit all the time on Facebook and stuff like that, if I posted something rude, I would put it with my friend circle because my friends understand that I have a rude personality. I have a rude sensibility of, my comedy, is rude. I don't want my fucking aunts in Puerto Rico to realize that I'm making dick and fart jokes. I don't want them to know about that. I feel bad sometimes when I do it. So at least if Facebook had circles the way Google Plus had circles, I think we would have saved a lot of fucking family relationships and friend relationships, because then you could post all, if you're a person, you supported Trump and you want to fucking post 1 million Trump things a day, then just take me out of that circle. And go post so all the fucking Trump fans that you like, I don't want to hear about it. Well, if we're friends because we hung out fucking one time in summer camp when we were fucking, 10 years old, that's fine. I don't want to hear your fucking, how you think, Trump is making America great again. So fuck those guys. Okay. And speaking of Trump, I love how, there's a story now where, Trump was watching the Super Bowl and he was hanging out in the same room was the woman that was, the guy from the Patriots, the owner of the Patriots got busted because he was going to a massage parlor where they were having happy endings. And that place is pretty much basically just known for fucking human trafficking. And how the woman who ran that place and is involved in human trafficking was fucking hanging out with Donald Trump when Donald Trump was watching the Super Bowl, so, birds of a feather flock together. And here's a guy who fucking had banged a fucking porn star and paid $140,000 to shut her up. And she still didn't shut up. But, birds of a feather flock together. So, for the guy that wants to make America great again, I guess, it's okay to fucking get a handy from, some human trafficked Asian lady in Boston or wherever. Oh no, excuse me, in Florida, because I think like when the guy got busted, I think it was in Florida and not too far from where our wonderful president has his golf course. Let me see what else I have. Okay, we had the Michael Cohen hearings. It was one of those deals where Michael Cohen lied to Congress before, and the fucking Republicans were attacking him, saying, "How can we trust this guy?" Yeah, meanwhile, they didn't mind 9 months ago when he was handling their funds,
Oh, my favorite part is when he brought the receipt for the check that Trump paid him back the money for, and it was while he's been president. And that right there is like a damning piece of evidence to me, honestly.
Yeah, and it's like, and for him to, because they were calling it the catch and kill. Like, they would go after rumored stories that were in the tabloids, and they would go and they would pay off people to say, look, don't post this fucking article. We'll give you X amount of money. Don't post this article. And they're like, oh, well, is it true or is it not true? Oh, no, it's not true. We just don't even want fake stories going out. And it's like, if you're paying people, if your nose is that dirty that you have to pay people for fake news not to go out, what are you hiding?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, there's got to be so many fucking skeletons in his closet, that, I don't know. R. Kelly's fucking singing a song about it. Did you see the Alex Jones on Joe Rogan?
Alex Jones? No, I didn't.
Alex Jones is a fucking psychopath, and there's like a 3-hour Joe Rogan Experience video. Alex Jones, the guy, like, he's the guy screaming about water turning the frogs gay, and he's a very conservative person, and he's helped Trump get into office. And he's one of those guys, is big on conspiracies. But that guy is a fucking lunatic. Okay, I'm on the podcast and I'm talking a lot of shit and I'm drunk or whatever. But like Alex Jones puts me to shame. Don't get me wrong. As an entertainer, I understand. This guy's on the radio for hours on end. He doesn't necessarily take too many calls. He doesn't necessarily have that many guests. The guy's a fucking psychopath. Somehow he's turned that into a career. And I'm not going to lie. I wish I had the money that he had. I wish I had the fucking numbers that he had. But, if that means losing your fucking mind, and I know he's like, cause he went to court for custody of his kids. And then his wife was like, well, look, he's on the fucking radio saying all this crazy shit. And he's like, yeah, that's a character I portray. And I get that, like when you do the podcast, yes, there's a character that you are, there's the person that you are. But you know what it is? Those characters come from fucking grains of fucking truth. You know what I'm saying? So, Alex Jones is a fucking psychopath. But if you have 3 hours to kill, and once again, and this is no way, I don't want people to become fans of Alex Jones because that's the opposite of what the fuck I want to happen. But just watch this guy, how psycho he is, talking about human animal hybrids and how the fucking aliens have visited us and we're part of a bigger experiment and the fucking sixth dimension. And I'm like, he sounds like a joke, but this is all shit he's legitimately fucking spewing. Okay, what else? There's the girl. There was a girl talking about shirts that have the Metallica logo on them. But she was just calling them metallic. I posted, I don't know. It's basically about, like people that are wearing band shirts and they don't realize they're wearing band shirts. Or like how it's trendy, like kids are now wearing like Thrasher shirts, but Thrasher is sort of a skate magazine. Mm-hmm. And it's sort of like, you're wearing a shirt for something you don't know what it is. And there's another one where I couldn't find the original video, but I found a video of someone commenting on it where a guy's wearing a Slayer shirt. And he's at a party, and the guy is such a fucking douche. He's a douchebag, and the guy's like, name 3 songs from this band. And he goes, this is a band? I thought it was Slayer, because, like, I slay, man. And then his fucking douchey fucking college frat boy friend's like, Slayer, and I want to fucking punch him on the throats, because, Slayer's a legit fucking good band. And there's people out there that are wearing fucking band t-shirts who don't know what the fuck they're wearing, and it's not, it shouldn't be there. And once again, and I can't be mad at the bands because merch is merch. The money's going into their pocket anyway. But it dilutes the brand, and it frustrates me when these people who aren't, I wouldn't wear, I guess, yeah, I could wear a Black Lives Matter shirt, but I don't know the struggle. So I haven't earned the right to wear a Black Lives Matter shirt. I don't wear, when gay men in the 80s wore a shirt that says silence equals death. I'm not going to wear a fucking, a shirt like that that's like a gay agenda shirt because I'm not gay. You know what I'm saying? And it's sort of like, I don't have the right to wear that shirt. Now, of course, Black Lives Matter and silence equals death, these are serious social fucking issues that need to be addressed. But the point is don't wear a shirt for something you don't fucking represent. You know what I'm saying? If you saw a goofy white guy from the suburbs shouldn't wear a Public Enemy t-shirt. And maybe it's good for Public Enemy because, he likes the band or whatever, but if you're not really about it, you really shouldn't be wearing that fucking shirt. Especially if you're wearing it more for fashion. Like, if you didn't even know Public Enemy is a fucking band, and you're just wearing it because you think it's a cool fucking looking logo, you're triple the fucking asshole. Okay, then we had Ronda Rousey. Ronda Rousey did a video where she was pretty much calling the fans marks. For wrestling fans, marks is, someone who's like really into wrestling and they buy into it, and it's sort of an insulting term. But if you notice, Ronda Rousey is also turning into a heel because she made a video calling wrestling fan marks and stuff like that. But then again, just this past Saturday, she was in Rochester because there was a WWE show in Rochester this past Saturday. The Road to WrestleMania. It was a house show. A house show meaning it's a show that isn't on SmackDown or Raw or pay-per-view. But they do these house shows every week. And so I love how she does a video online insulting the fans, but then comes out. And then, part of the deal was she gets in the ring. She was going to throw her shirt out. Now, the old Ronda Rousey, who was like a face, the face is the term for when you're a good guy. She would throw her shirt into the crowd, so, you know, a lucky fan will get the shirt that she was wearing. Now, it looks like she was gonna throw the shirt, but then she doesn't, and then she does the Generation X suck it thing, you know, like she crosses her hands over her crotch and like shoves her crotch forward. So she's doing a heel turn. She's turning from a good guy to a bad guy. And so, you know, the wrestling term is they call kayfabe when you're a fan of wrestling, where you kind of use reality to kind of influence a story, but it's all fake anyway. But, you know, she's doing kayfabe and she's turning into a heel. She's turning into a bad guy. So just wanted to bring that up real quick. Let me see. What else? International Women's Day. I'm a misogynistic asshole, so I shouldn't even talk about International Women's Day. You know, I'm a misogynist who's also the father of a little girl, so maybe I should be a little bit more towards International Women's Day. But hey, I like Captain Marvel, so that means something. Okay, nerdy news. Okay, let's quick shoot this. Idris Elba is going to be in Suicide Squad 2 as Deadshot, because Will Smith has bowed out. Will Smith is too busy doing good movies like Aladdin. But it's weird because like they're doing Deadshot in Suicide Squad 2. I think they're bringing in they're bringing in new people. Like Deadshot's going to be like the only character returning from the first Suicide Squad. They're bringing in King Shark. They're bringing this character called like Polka Dot or some shit like that. Rat King or some Rat Catcher. Like all the people in the new movie, like the only character that's coming back, and it's not even the same actor, is Idris Elba. Now, you remember like we watched the animated versions, you know, some version of the Suicide Squad, Harley Quinn and Deadshot hook up. Like Harley Quinn sort of like, you know, she's broken up with the Joker and she hooks up with Deadshot, which means we could have had a movie where Idris Elba was banging fucking, the girl, Margot Robbie, you know, which would have been kind of hot. So, you know, but Harley Quinn's moving on doing her own movie with the Birds of Prey, so I guess that's not going to happen. Stephen Amell is they're saying there's going to be no more episodes, no more seasons of Arrow, and I guess it's good to leave now than fade away. You know, it's good that they're kind of letting Arrow, you know, there's better, and trust me, it's not at its fucking peak, because, you know, I was never a fan of Arrow. It was always very depressing. But it's not like, you know, Stephen Amell, like when he tells his story, because I watched like the 8-minute video that he posted, and he's like, you know, I want to go and do my own thing or whatever. And I was like, dude, you play Arrow until you're fucking dead in the ground. Because Stephen Amell's not going to have a career outside of fucking, you know, if he's doing Casey Jones for fucking Michael Bay's Ninja Turtles or whatever, you know, Michael Bay produced Ninja Turtles, he doesn't have a career. You know, fucking, he's gonna be the way fucking Adam West was with fucking Batman. Like that, Stephen Amell 30 years from now is gonna be doing fucking conventions and he's only gonna be known as Arrow. He's a good looking guy and everything like that, and he's charming or whatever. He doesn't have the star power to pull off his own fucking movie. And look, prove me wrong. You know, in 2-3 years from now, when he's the fucking, you know, he's the next Indiana Jones, fine. Then you could tell me, Chris, you're an asshole because you said he's never gonna be a fucking, you know. But that being said, Stephen Amell, he should ride this fucking thing until the wheels fucking come off of it. But, you know, they're, and then again, maybe he's pretending like it's his choice and it's not his choice. You know, maybe they're just canceling Arrow because Arrow is fucking sad and depressing and no one wants to see that shit. Okay, Joker trailer. They showed the new, Joaquin Phoenix Joker trailer. It's really nothing new. It's all the same shit we already saw from the last couple episodes, like whenever they have really quote unquote leaked footage, which is filmed fucking spectacularly. You know, it's more of the same. I really don't give a shit about it. You know, I want to watch it for the train wreck that it is. I don't think it's going to be a good movie. You know, I want the movies to go back to being light. I appreciate the fact that, you know, we got Shazam coming up. We got Wonder Woman 84 coming up. We got Birds of Prey coming up. You know, these are movies that are going to be fun. Suicide Squad 2, let the movies go back to being fucking fun. We don't need a dark, gritty Joker movie in the vein of Taxi Driver. I'm not a big fan. You know, fuck that shit. Okay, Disney. There was a rumor going around saying that Disney was going to, since Disney now owns Marvel, that Disney was going to just quote unquote just straight up stop making Marvel comics, which one isn't going to happen. It was just a rumor that was going around. That being said, you know, Marvel is kind of shooting itself in the foot, where they keep like changing characters and they keep trying to like force this agenda. And once again, I liked Captain Marvel, and I don't want to shit on it like, oh, this is just a fucking, girl power empowerment movie, agenda movie. No, it was a good movie. It was a legit good movie. And, Marvel, it does feel they're making certain decisions just to make people happy when they take characters and they change their race, or they change characters and they change their gender. And, and it
I
does
absolutely hate when they do that just to do it. It's
yeah, and the whole thing is that you're alienating your fan base, and they're like, oh, well, comics aren't selling. Well, stop changing the fucking, you bought this fucking company to sell comics, and then you switch the comics. And once again, I know that makes me sound like, like a real closed-minded asshole, but, if you want to make a strong, powerful female character, start with a brand new female character. Give us something fucking new. Once again, it feels, Marvel keeps fucking around with the formula, and that's why I've always been more of a DC guy when it came to comics, because at least DC tries to keep its storylines going. Marvel is very fickle. Marvel, they'll make a decision, and then 2-3 months later they'll see it's not working, and then they fucking change the whole story. At least DC waits a year. DC changes on the yearly, Marvel changes on the monthly. You can't follow a storyline in Marvel. As much as their art is fantastic and they have great characters and they do incredible fucking movies, you can't follow the comics, because you'll get 3 issues deep into a comic series that you like, and then they'll change it because it wasn't selling. So there was a rumor that Disney was going to stop making actual Marvel comics and just stick with the movies. It's not gonna fucking happen. Marvel's making big fucking money. They just need to stop with the SJW agenda. And not that I'm anti, I want people to be more open-minded and fucking enlightened, but, don't stop fucking with established characters. The established character, that's the reason you paid $12 billion for fucking Marvel, because you bought these established characters. Stop fucking with the fucking, like I said, if McDonald's woke up one day and said, we're making pizza now, people are going to get pissed off, because they go to McDonald's for burgers, not for fucking pizza. Okay. Once again, we talk about comics. My old local comic store, St. Mark's Comics in New York City, is shutting down because the neighborhood is changing and they can't afford to pay their rent anymore. So once again, these fucking people that are gentrifying New York City, the same culture that they came to the city to fucking absorb and embrace, they're destroying, because these people that are coming from the fucking suburbs and coming from the sticks and paying, having daddy pay their fucking rent, it's killing the fucking culture of New York City. And my old favorite comic book store, and of course, yes, I haven't been there in years because I haven't lived in New York City for years. But, we advertise Comics Etc. on this show. And the Comics Etc. is a store I go to. And my old place that I used to go to, my old home, St. Mark's Comics, is shutting down because they can't afford to pay their fucking rent. And it's disgusting. Yep. Okay, a couple more things. Orville. If you haven't been watching Orville on Fox, the Seth MacFarlane fucking show, get on that shit. If you have Hulu, watch the old episodes on Hulu, because the last couple episodes were fucking kick ass. They actually had the past 2 episodes, which is a 2-parter, and I might have been, I don't know if they had one this past week. I might have missed it. But they kind of, they had a serious storyline. Those 2 episodes, they had a couple of jokes that were just kind of thrown there just for brevity, but if you haven't started watching the Orville, and if you liked The Next Generation, watch the Orville, because that is truer to The Next Generation than I feel even Discovery is. So you should be watching it. And the last 2 episodes were fucking kick ass. So I got to give Seth MacFarlane his fucking props, because the Orville fucking kicks ass. Dark Phoenix, and this is something we were talking about before the episode. There's a new trailer for Dark Phoenix, but who gives a shit? Fox is going over to Disney eventually. This movie, they're telling us a storyline that we already saw. We've already seen the Dark Phoenix movie done with Famke Janssen and, the older, the original X-Men 3. I don't know what they're going to do different. It doesn't seem much different. Why fucking beat an old horse to death? I'm not a fan. No one really cares about the Dark Phoenix. We've seen it. We've seen it in the cartoon. We've seen it done in the movies. We don't need to see that fucking storyline again. I know Paul's all for it. Paul's a mark for the X-Men.
What?
But that's the whole thing is that, like, I think there's one more movie. There's like the New Mutants movie, which they made and they're eventually probably going to release. But, Fox has pretty much already said they're going to sell their all their IP to fucking Disney. So these movies, they're putting it out, but it's like, and don't get me wrong, do I want to see it? Yes, I'm gonna see it. I'm not gonna go to the theater to see it. I'll wait till it comes to fucking Netflix or Hulu or something like that, but I'm not running out to the theater to see the Dark Phoenix movie with, Jennifer Lawrence and the girl from Game of Thrones and the new Professor X and Michael Fassbender's Magneto. I don't know. I don't care. I used to love the X-Men movies. I don't care. Regina King, who, for those of us who are fans of like Adult Swim, was the voice of the brothers on Boondocks, who won an Oscar. Was it Green Book? No, what movie do you know what movie she won the Oscar for?
Which one was it for?
Regina King?
I
want to say Green Book, but I don't think.
Streak. I want to say.
Beale Street. Beale Street something. Yeah. But my point being is that, we loved her. She was the voice of one of our, favorite cartoons. And now she won fucking an Oscar. So I think that puts the kibosh on, I guess we're never going to fucking have a Boondocks unless it's a reboot and they get another voice actor, because, and don't be wrong, I'm proud. I'm happy for her. I had a crush on her back in the day when she was on 227. But, I know I'm happy for her. But, now she's going to be making real movies and she doesn't need to be making goofy cartoons on Cartoon Network. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse won an Oscar, which makes me want to dick slap Kathleen Kennedy, because Kathleen Kennedy, she fired, Lord & Taylor, the guys behind the Lego movie, 21 Jump Street, 22 Jump Street, and now the guys behind Spider-Man Into the and there were other people, don't get me wrong. I know there's more people behind Into the Spider-Verse than Lord & Taylor, but Kathleen Kennedy, who works at Lucasfilm, fired those guys off the Solo movie, which didn't do that well, and gave it to, what's his face? Opie Cunningham, whatever the fuck his name is. She changed directors halfway through the movie. They had to spend more money so he could, quote unquote, fix the movie, when they should have left Lord & Taylor with Solo. Because what happens? She fires him off of Solo. They end up doing Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. That wins a fucking Oscar. So Kathleen Kennedy, the bad decisions you're making for Lucasfilm. Look, you fired Oscar award-winning fucking directors because you wanted your fucking agenda.
The phone's not supposed to be on during the podcast. So.
Well, I'm not used to fucking people.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. There was a campaign to save Daredevil, the Netflix series, and it's like, dude, just let it. What's his face? The guy that played Kingpin.
Can't think of his name. I know what you're talking about.
Vincent D'Onofrio. Vincent D'Onofrio started a campaign, save Daredevil, and it's like, Vince, we get it, we like you. Daredevil was okay. It was probably, in my opinion, the best of all the Netflix series. Just let it die. Netflix, everything's moving over to the Disney Plus. As much as we like those shows on the Netflix Marvel shows were okay, they weren't great. And if anything, yes, Daredevil was the best of all of them, but once again, they had bloated fucking series, bloated seasons where there were 13 episodes when you could have had a really good, tight 10 episodes, but you bloated them and you made them 13 episodes. So just let it die, man. We're not gonna, they can't touch those shows for like another 2 or 3 years because that's what the contract was for. Let that die. Let Marvel focus on new characters when they move over to Disney Plus,
Well, with them, man, listen, like, when Disney Plus comes, they may end up just doing it there. Disney's, listen.
But I'm saying, but it's going to be about 3 years. Their contract is up. Their contract is for like another 3 years.
But see, you don't understand. Like, Disney has a lot of fucking power now. So if they want to take something from Netflix, they'll just be like, listen.
Yeah, I guess the same way they got Spider-Man from Sony. Maybe they could throw Netflix. Look, we're gonna buy this fucking contract out. Here's the fucking money, And Netflix is gonna be okay. Netflix has enough original programming. They don't need to rely on the money that they're making from, in a year from now, no one gives a shit about Jessica Jones or Luke Cage. I mean, let's be fucking real about it. But
exactly.
Okay, so let me see. 2 more. Damn, I didn't even
I'm
get.
gonna shoot you.
The KFC has RoboCop as a spokesman. I don't know why they haven't brought in the guy. I'll buy that for $1.
God damn, this is gonna be a 2-hour podcast.
This is a 2-hour
shit.
And I haven't even gotten into fucking Captain Marvel.
you can say that for next podcast because Paul needs his beauty sleep.
Gotcha. And then we got Hellboy coming out in about a month, which I'm not super excited for, but I'm gonna give it a shot. And I guess what it is. I did want to talk about Captain Marvel, but a lot of stuff that I did want to talk about kind of had spoiler stuff. So for the sake of the people who haven't seen Captain Marvel, we'll just leave it at that. But had a great soundtrack. The Stan Lee cameo is fucking awesome. I love the Stan Lee cameo. And then there's and once again, this isn't really spoiling it too much. The beginning of the movie kind of has a tribute to Stan Lee. And let me tell you, if you don't fucking have a tear in your eye when you see that fucking tribute to Stan Lee, then I don't want you to be my friends. Don't stop listening to the fucking podcast, because if that doesn't even my cold-hearted ass fucking welled up when I saw the fucking tribute. If that isn't your thing, if that isn't your thing, then fucking please remove yourself from my life, because I can't live with that kind of negativity. And this is a guy who wishes Alec Trebek dies of fucking pancreatic cancer. All right, so let's wrap this up.
That's what she said.
Please visit twostrangersonepodcast.net, where you can find all things show related. First and foremost, you can find links to our iTunes page. If you have an iPhone, an iPad, or iPod, you can subscribe to us on that. If you don't have an iPhone, an iPad, or iPod, you can subscribe to us on the Stitcher app. That's STITCHER, the Stitcher app for Android devices. And you can listen to the past 2 or 3 years worth of episodes on Stitcher. Anything beyond that, because we are just a month or 2 away from our 7-year anniversary. For those episodes, you can go and look us up on YouTube. Just look up Two Strangers One Podcast and find us there. But once again, Stitcher is how I listen to all of my podcasts. And once again, this isn't an endorsement. This is just the truth. It's how I listen to my podcasts. I listen to the listen later option and available offline, so I don't have to kill my data or kill my battery downloading stuff offline. And when I'm in a Wi-Fi spot, get all my episodes. And then when I'm out and about, now things are a little different because I work from home. But when I am out and about and I'm going to the post office to mail out my packages for the people who buy my stuff on eBay, I'll listen to Stitcher from there. That's STITCHER. And then of course our main hosting site is on SoundCloud. So if you want, I make all the episodes available for download on SoundCloud, and that's for both Android and Apple devices. We want your money. We need your money. And until we set up the Patreon, you can follow us on Facebook. Just go to facebook.com/twostrangersonepodcast. Click and, just like and subscribe the page, like the page, share this episode. Once again, it takes 2 seconds to do it, and it shows you support and spreads the word. And, even if you can't contribute a fucking penny to the podcast, it gets the word out. If you want to write us, you can write us at twostrangersonepodcast@gmail.com. I should have checked before the episode, but I'm going to see if Oscar has written to us. Oscar hasn't written in a while. And it's weird because he did respond to a post you made on Facebook, but
he did.
He hasn't written to the show in a while, and I wonder if he's still listening. All these years he fucking called me a piece of shit for not having a job and not getting a job that pays well and not having a car. And I'm checking the Facebook I'm checking the Gmail right now, and he hasn't written to us. But if you want to write to us, you can write to us at twostrangersonepodcast@gmail.com, all spelled out, twostrangersonepodcast@gmail.com. And once again, twostrangersonepodcast.net, you can find links. You can find links to my eBay page. So all the wonderful people who have been buying my products, you can go on eBay and just search for XLNYC. That's my name, as in extra large New York City. That's a fucking name that I've been using for years, XLNYC. Or you can find the link to that on twostrangersonepodcast.net. You can find links to my audiobook, Odd I See, A Tale from the Road, available. That's on YouTube. You can find a playlist for that. You can find the playlist for my album, my first album, Newman, but that's just, under the name XLNYC. I put out audiobooks. You want to buy my real book, you can find the link there. You can find my first album, which is it's like electronica music. That all the links for that are on twostrangerspodcast.net. You can follow us on Twitter at Stranger Podcast. But once again, that's just a rehash of our Facebook page. So everything you can find on twostrangerspodcast.net. And if you want to listen to any older episodes, you could just go on YouTube and search for Two Strangers One Podcast. I can't think of anything else. I acquiesce the floor to you, sir.
Holy shit, finally. All right, so you can find me going to my bed right now because I'm kind of tired. You can find me on Twitter at Paul Pascrillo. You can email me, paulpascrillo at tsunamifaithful.podcast or at tsunamifaithful.com. See, that's why I'm getting really tired. Oscar knows how to email me there, and you can, if you're part of our Discord, you can message me there at Paul Pascrillo. So there you go. Oh, and follow me on Instagram, instagram.com/Paul Pascrillo. I will add you if I like you. If I don't, well, you can't have access. So there you go.
Well, we certainly hope you guys enjoyed listening, had as much fun as we did recording. Thank you for listening to Two Strangers, One Podcast. I'm Chris.
I'm Paul.
Don't be a stranger.
Peace. We're out.
Bye. You should be fapping. Oh, yeah.
Not like how Chris is trying to.
And buy my stuff on eBay, goddammit. Bye.
All right, here we go, man. Go ahead. You want to read
Double Jackpot.
What is it?
It is a self-published book by Christopher Cologne.
Chris Cologne? Smells good to me.
But
look at her. That broke that fucking cold little exterior. He's like, hee.
But it is spelled Colon.
Him punny.
But Double Jackpot is a book about a comic book artist, Eric, who is in a loveless relationship with a materialistic
I feel you, Eric.
Lynette.
Oh, fucking. Are you sure I didn't write this? Sounds hauntingly familiar.
He starts cheating on his girlfriend with a more creatively supportive woman, Nadia.
Well, I gotta meet her. Where's the Nadia?
There's your summer girlfriend.
Summer Nadia is Nadia.
Nadia?
Yeah, I think Nadia is spelled with an A.
All right.
Both Lynette and Nadia play the double jackpot, the largest payout in lotto history, much like the recent Powerball. Both girls play his birth date as the winning numbers. Eric is now stuck between two of the country's richest women. Who will he choose? It's not that simple. This is a clever fucking idea,
yeah,
man.
Is.
Look at her, fucking. She's impressed.
I am.
She got some summer reading. Christopher Cologne smells real lovely with an original idea. This is. I've never heard this before.
I haven't either. This is a self-published book, much in the indie spirit as Kev's Clerks.
Oh, you don't even need to name check me. This is just a good idea. You could stand on your own, man. You don't even have to be like, hey, remember Clerks? This is nothing like that. This is way more original than Clerks. This is a good idea, man. Why didn't I think of this?
I need something to read. This book is part of the Comic Books, Heavy Metal, Video Games Trilogy Book 2. Odd I See, A Tale from the Road, coming soon.
Right on, man. It's part of a trilogy. This is the first part.
Way to write, man.
He's seeking a literary agent. Motherfuckers, anybody out there? There ain't no literary agents listening to this show, I assure you, sure. Sure. I assure you, sure. But somebody know a literary agent? Hook a motherfucker up! Chris Cologne come up with an original idea. I should tell Raskin. That's a good fucking idea, to be honest with you. That's a fucking rom-com right there. Megan, get Raskin on the phone. Isn't it possible to get Raskin on the phone? No?
Yeah.
I want to run it past him, man. I want to, and if it happens, I get a taste, Chris Cologne. I get a whiff, if you will.
The book could also be ordered on www.lulu.com.
That's lulu.com.
I understand that. I just want to spell it out.
Normally one says it, that spells it. Still, lulu.com. What is that? Do you know what it is?
I don't know. All right. The book could also be ordered on www.lulu.com. Search for Double Jackpot Christopher Cologne. A paperback version of the book is $15, and a PDF file is only $5.
$5 is
yeah.
Insanely inexpensive. 15's not even that bad for a paperback version.
No.
This is $1 million idea right here. Like a movie about a dude who fucking is stuck between two chicks, both of who play his birthday and win the lottery. Come on! I can see that trailer. Chris Cologne is on to something. Nobody else can smell it but me.
I'll read it.
Thank you. I'm going to make that smelly joke.
I know, you're trying to get me to laugh again.
It worked once. Double Jackpot is a self-published book by Chris Cologne, man. It's the first book in his comic books, heavy metal, video games trilogy. Book 2, Odd I See, A Tale from the Road, should be coming out soon. Get all the information at Chris Cologne, like a motherfucker.
I
and
will
his
totally
book,
read this.
Double Jackpot. I'm serious. I'm going to recommend that to fucking Raskin. How is that not a movie? You know what I'm saying? This could be a sexy movie. You could do an R-rated version. There could be nudie in it, and you could show them fucking both chicks. Maybe a little penetration. Maybe a butthole shot. No butthole, no care.
I would like to formally apologize to Christopher Cologne right now.
No, sex sells. Chris Cologne will appreciate that. He's like, thanks for throwing a few buttholes in there, man.
Don't forget to check out twostrangersonepodcast.net, your one-stop resource for everything show-related. You can find links to subscribe to us on iTunes or on Stitcher. You could also find links to buy my book, Double Jackpot, on twostrangersonepodcast.net.
Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. You're cool. And fuck you, I'm out.